The Great Gatsby is a novel by Francis Scott Fitzgerald, published in 1925. The novel, beautifully spare in its prose style, is famous for capturing the mood of the 1920s, especially the moral vacuity of a post-war society in America obsessed with wealth and status. Although hardly a success upon its release, the novel is considered an American classic today, and many adaptations of the story have been made for stage, movies, radio, and television. The narrator, Nick Carraway, is a young Yale graduate who works as a pawnbroker in Manhattan. He rents a house at West Egg on Long Island across the water from his cousin, Daisy. In his neighborhood there is the enigmatic Jay Gatsby, a self-made millionaire from the Midwest who lives the high life from the profits of his minor criminal activities. Gatsby's infamous parties are attended by many guests who do not know their host. Carraway learns that Gatsby and Daisy had been in love, but that Daisy had not waited for him to return from the war and had married another man. Nick arranges a meeting between the two, and Daisy finds herself impressed by the change in Gatsby's fortunes. Daisy's husband Tom, himself already involved in an affair with the garage owner's wife Myrtle, becomes jealous of Gatsby's attentions to his wife. Then Myrtle is killed in an accident, and Tom tells Myrtle's husband that Gatsby is responsible. Nick later learns from Gatsby that Daisy, not Gatsby himself, was driving the car at the time of the accident. Myrtle's husband, George Wilson, falsely concludes that the driver of the yellow car is the secret lover he suspects his wife had. So he fatally shoots Gatsby and then turns the gun on himself. Nick organizes a funeral for Gatsby, but only one of Gatsby's partygoers and his estranged father, Henry Getz, attend. None of Gatsby's business associates come, nor does Daisy. Disillusioned with the East, Nick moves back to the Midwest. Let's analyze the differences between the book and the movie directed by Luhrmann. First one, Nick Carraway is in a sanitarium. While it's never abundantly clear that the narrator Nick Carraway is writing the book, he's certainly not writing it from a sanitarium. In the text, Fitzgerald merely alludes to Nick as the scribe, but doesn't say so explicitly. In the movie, Nick is writing from a sanitarium, where he's checked himself in some time following his summer with Gatsby and has been diagnosed as a morbid alcoholic. Second one, Jay Gatsby makes a great entrance. Actually, this is what happens in both the book and the movie, and it's not properly clear the moment Nick unknowingly starts interacting with Gatsby when he's played by DiCaprio. In the novel, Nick is at one of Gatsby's big parties when he strikes up a conversation with a man of about his age. They swap word stories and make plans for the next day until Nick confesses that he has yet to meet the host of the party. "I'm Gatsby," he says. Third one, Gatsby died thinking he was a winner. It's still George Wilson who kills Gatsby. He's still lonely and pitiful, and this Paul is still involved. It's just a phone that's quite a bit different in the movie. In both, our anti-hero is waiting for a call from Daisy and decides to go for a swim, while the book has him climbing aboard a float, his butler waiting for the call, and his chauffeur hearing the shots. The movie takes a much more showy approach. Instead, Gatsby takes a dive into the water and steps out as the phone rings. Wilson takes his shot at that very moment and Gatsby dies thinking he may have gotten the girl, that Daisy was calling to say she was leaving Tom and running away with him, but it was just Nick who was calling. Fourth one, the hotel scene in the movie differs from the novel for one main reason. Gatsby does not grant Tom a yell "shut up" in the novel, but does in the movie. This gives the audience of the movie a reason for Daisy to have doubts about Gatsby, but this doubt is not portrayed in the novel. In the book, Tom simply sends Daisy and Gatsby away. Fifth one, in both the movie and the novel, Gatsby's funeral turns out disappointing. Daisy does not show to the funeral in both the movie and the book. However, in the novel, two people show up to Gatsby's funeral: his father and All Eyes, who was met earlier in the book in Gatsby's library. In the movie, nobody shows up at all, which adds to the loneliness felt by the audience. This magnitude of loneliness was not felt by the reader, which changes the mood portrayed in the final scenes. 6-1. Daisy isn't a wolf in doll's clothing. She has 6-1. Daisy isn't a wolf in doll's clothing. She has affection for and at times definitely loves Gatsby, but is shallow. It's something Lerman's more sympathetic Daisy scares a bit. His Daisy is more of a victim of a birdcage built in her surroundings than a woman whose heart simply isn't as big as her engrossing personality suggests. Even in the famous shirt-throwing scene, in which Daisy cries, I've never seen such beautiful shirts before," as Gatsby showers her with his expensive shirts as a means of proving his wealth, Lerman's portrayal of the scene makes it seem as though she's crying about her missed time with Gatsby. In the book, that scene plays with uncertainty. It's possible that she's really just upset she missed out on the greater wealth on Gatsby's side of the bay. 7th. Tom is not the devil. Part of the reason Daisy is so forgivable in this movie is that her husband Tom is so god-awful. Whereas Tom was always a bad guy in the novel, cheating on one's wife constantly isn't exactly the most admirable of traits, nor is Tom's rampant racism. He's a supervillain in Lerman's movie. 8. The Ballad of Gatsby and Daisy is missing an essential element: capitalism. The passage in which Nick describes Gatsby falling in love with Daisy includes language so financial in nature that it exposes the truth of what Daisy represents for Gatsby. Swathed in romantic moments of longing for even a slight grace of Daisy's hand, Nick says that Gatsby had taken her under false pretenses, and later says that Gatsby didn't know how extraordinary a nice girl could be, suggesting that he's traded in lesser ladies before Daisy. 7th. Tom is not the devil. Part of the reason Daisy is so forgivable in this movie is that her husband Tom is so god-awful. Whereas Tom was always a bad guy in the novel, cheating on one's wife constantly isn't exactly the most admirable of traits, nor is Tom's rampant racism. He's a supervillain in Lerman's movie. 8. The Ballad of